Let's investigate the gunshots. So I heard gunshots. We all did, yes. What was that about? So the sniper rifle was fired 4 times. Thrice in quick-ish succession and then a 4th a few moments later. I heard that. I mean, where did the gun fire? Surely we should be able to tell where the bullets went, right? That we can, and we have. Obviously there are 4 impact points. 2 are against the left wall, 1 hit a nearby chair, and 1 hit the end of the metal pipe. Metal pipe? Indeed, it is quite strange. Do you think the pipe could have been used to block a bullet? I quite doubt that. I think it more likely that the pipe was leaning up against a wall that was shot at and was incidentally struck. But I can't completely deny your proposal. There wasn't much time between those shots and us getting to the crime scene, was there? No, there was not. Whatever happened after those bullets were fired, there wasn't much time for anything else. As someone not currently favoring the defense or prosecution of Tiger, I must say that those shots are the detail that sticks the most out to me like a sore thumb. It is the hardest to frame in any cohesive narrative. For that reason, it is either the most or least important part of this whole thing. Well, thanks for that totally unhelpful, unsolicited advice, Snake. Keep being you. That I will. It is interesting that the killer didn't take the gun with them. Maybe they were afraid they'd be seen with it. True, but they could at least take the pistol or the poison, don't you think? Yes, they must have not had enough time. No trinkets were taken either, though Tiger was unconscious. I was actually the last person to give her a trinket, so I know the number collected was 6. All 6 are present. But wait, doesn't that raise a problem with... What's the problem? Victim's location or the killer's location? Yeah, the victim's location. If Bunny, you were the last one, then why was Dragon there in the first place? If not to give Tiger a trinket. Isn't it strange then that Dragon was here? What do you mean? People have been visiting Tiger to drop off the trinkets they've collected, right? If Dragon didn't have a trinket with her, why was she here? Huh. I mean, if Tiger was the killer, it's not like she could leave to go looking for someone to bring them back here. So either Dragon came here of her own volition, or she was killed somewhere else and brought here to frame Tiger. But if Dragon wasn't dropping off a trinket, why would Dragon come here? I suppose she could have been passing by, or she could have come to talk with Tiger, but that seems kind of coincidental. You're right, that is odd. I don't know, it might be nothing, I was just thinking about it. Anyways, let's keep looking around. And let's investigate Dragon's body, as rigor mortis set in. We for sure have to look at Dragon's body, right? Well, it is a murder investigation, so that would sure be handy. Right. I'm not looking forward to examining a corpse. If you want, I could do most of the examining. Yeah, that would probably be for the best. I'm not trying to be a baby or anything, it's just kind of, you know, say no more. I used to be just like that. It's honestly probably disturbing that I'm as fine with looking at dead bodies as I am. Isn't that normal for a cop? It is. Doesn't make it less disturbing. But I digress. Let's get to examining. Bunny approached the corpse and started looking over it. After a time, he returned with a report. There's not really any surprises in terms of cause of death. He was definitely bludgeoned to death by a single hit over the head with that lamp. I believe the lamp was previously sitting on the table on the left side of the room. Anyways, there was one detail which caught my eye. There was bruising on her neck. Bruising? Basically, she was choked out at some point. And not with a tool, someone wrapped their hands around her and just started squeezing tight. Horrible. Horrible, but also telling. Think about Tiger's strength. I don't think it's exaggerating when I say she could probably crush a human's windpipe if she really wanted to. Was she? Sorry to say, but I don't know the strength needed for windpipe crushing. You need a lot, but not more than Tiger has. The choking attempt definitely failed, that's not a mistake. So I guess I'm thinking that Tiger wouldn't have failed. Someone with average strength like me, for instance, could easily try to choke her out, but fail to and let Dragon temporarily escape. If Tiger had her hands around that neck, she could just squeeze and it'd be over like that. That makes sense. But that's pretty loosey-goosey when it comes to evidence. That doesn't prove anything by itself. Is there anything else you noticed about her? No, that was basically it. Are there any other clues to be found here? I got it. You should check Dragon's tablet. Her tablet? Yeah. Why? It might be nothing, but it's worth checking. Instead of explaining, I walked over to the tablet and turned it on. I moved to the information section of the tablet. I wasn't expecting much, but... my god. What? No way, I never would have thought Dragon was like this. What is it? Dragon had the hateful personality. What? Seriously? People started crowding around me and looking over my shoulder. Sure enough, it was written as plain as day and in green text for whatever reason. Why would she hide this from us? I mean, there's a lot of reasons why she'd hide it. Was she scared we'd turn on her? I knew it. There was something fishy about that girl. It certainly makes me feel better about this whole thing. Snake! Does that make me sound crass? I suppose it does. But speaking factually, she was something of an inevitable casualty if we planned for the group to survive. In a sense, it makes her murder meaningless is probably the wrong word, isn't it? Yes, it is. Well, so let's get back to focusing on the investigation. I mean, yeah, this was a pretty shocking piece of news, but I don't actually know if it changes much. Oh, it changes things, alright. Pieces were starting to come together. I just needed a bit more evidence. I think that's pretty much everything that I had to look at. Yeah, that covers the basics of the investigation. I don't know how much it clears up. Give me a second, I'm going to think about all the evidence and try to piece together the crime. Take all the time you need piecing things together. As for me, I'm convinced. Like, I couldn't be the culprit here, there's just too many oddities. Seriously? You've been swayed just by looking around this room? You better have found some conclusive and convincing evidence. I don't know about conclusive, but it's definitely convincing. It convinced me anyways. It did? I'm sorry, but if it's not substantial, I won't change my mind on this. Gosh, how much do you hate me? Feels like ever since you started suspecting me, you've not let up on me whatsoever. You're like a shark who smelled blood. It must be a cop instinct that make you such a predator. For the last time, it's a prosecutor. You know, there's a real cop standing right over there. Tiger's right, Ox. You seem unfairly fixated on her guilt. She was clearly attacked and you're blaming her? Even the note central to your case against her doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't be there. I'm not saying I know everything, but where do you propose the killer escape to? I already covered the possible exits. If not Tiger, the culprit would either have to be you or Snake. My, the moment Tiger seems like less of a target, Ox moves on to the closest others for his next target. What frightful instincts in this one. I don't care if I'm frightful, I'm trying to keep us all alive. Can't trust Tiger. Don't you see, the longer you waste on this, the less time you spend looking for minor trinkets. So let's just stop talking about this already. That sounds like someone who's guilty. Something someone who's guilty would say. Got it. What? I've made my decision. After looking things over, I think there's a clear answer. What's that? On the matter of Tiger's guilt. There's a lot to say yes, there's a lot to say no. Like, we're getting into real double, triple bluffing territories here. Like, what Bunny was saying is correct in that the note being there does not make sense if Tiger was the killer. Unless she knew we would think that the note being sent there does not make sense. The note being there does not make sense, and therefore put it there on purpose anyway, even though it would suspect her at first. But after, after thinking through carefully, she's in the clear again. And another thing is that even if we hadn't come to that conclusion, and it was quite likely that we would, given we have a police officer, an incredibly intelligent person in Snake, a prosecutor, and we haven't even talked about Dog yet, who's not here quite yet. So, coming to that conclusion was quite likely. So, and even if we wouldn't have, she could have just mentioned it herself offhandedly, like, oh, but why would the note be here? Yeah, the gunshots are odd. They were done clearly close to us arriving there, very close. The question is, what happened exactly? I can come up with a lot of theories. You could even go so far as to say maybe Dragon started it. Then she was somehow... Maybe there was a third person. Maybe Dragon came here. started the fight with Tiger because she wanted to get to the guns. Maybe Tiger knocked her out in self-defense and is now trying to hide it. I think that might be the most likely scenario, actually. Self-defense, and now she's like, well, I mean, I don't really need to tell people about that, me having killed her. Maybe she wasn't even purposefully trying to kill her and just, hit to the head was too strong. That would also maybe explain why she didn't actually manage to choke her out, because maybe she wasn't actively trying on killing her, but just wanted to knock her unconscious. And because she's too strong, she used too much force. I mean, Ox is right in the fact that, the killer couldn't have really escaped anywhere. Where would he have gone? Or she? I don't quite remember. I think it was Bunny and Snake, yeah, were the other two, who were close by. So they could have realistically run out and then run back in to the scene. That is realistic. The thing is, would they do that? Bunny investigated a lot of things that all pointed to Tiger not being the criminal. If Bunny was the criminal trying to frame Tiger, that makes no sense. I mean, yes, you can go back into, oh, that proves himself not guilty because, he's actually solved the investigation, made Tiger not guilty, all that. But you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't go through all the trouble of faking that and then not, and just solve it. Which leaves Snake. The thing is, I think I'm pretty clear on the gunshots. There's only one reason why the gunshots were fired, and that's to get attention, to bring people here. Which begs the question, why would you bring people here? You would bring people here to find the crime scene and to ensure that people think there wasn't much time passed between the crime and you arriving there. There might well have been 10-15 minutes in that time between the crime and the gunshots. The thing is, though, that it's very unlikely that the gunshots were fired by someone else than the criminal. I think we're between Snake and Tiger here. The thing is, I know from my other playthrough, in that Snake was innocent. I don't know if the route you take depends, if the traitors depend on which route you take, or if the traitors are always the same two people, and it's just everything around that changes. I'm willing to bet in this scenario on the traitors always being the same people. I'm not sure on it at all, but I'm willing to work under that hypothesis for now, and say Tiger is guilty. Tiger did it. What? Seriously, Mouse? I thought you were on my side. I was until investigating, and I don't think you're some monster, Tiger. You should have confessed at the start of this. You would have had a lot more sympathy for you. What are you talking about? I didn't do any of this. I guess I'll have to explain it then. Please do, Mouse, because I'm struggling to follow you here. You were with me when we found all that evidence against Tiger being the culprit. What could have changed your mind? The evidence is certainly at odds with an easy understanding of this crime. However, that doesn't mean Tiger isn't the culprit. It just means that Ox's vague explanation was missing many details. Look, I'll try and explain things the best they happened from the beginning. Let's start with how Dragon ended up here. The answer's surprisingly simple. She was going to attack Tiger. Dragon came here in order to attack Tiger. The metal pipe, which wasn't among the weapons confiscated, likely was brought by her. Obviously, Tiger couldn't go looking for something like that while abandoning her post. Dragon clearly wanted to be the guard of the weapons. She also hid the fact that she had the hateful personality. Unfortunately, with all that in mind, I can only conclude that she had malicious plans in mind. Dragon's also the type to challenge Tiger in a fight. That all makes sense to me. Okay, I'll buy that. But what then? Isn't it plausible that Dragon could be the one behind attacking Tiger? That's plausible, but incorrect. I'll get to why later, but let me just keep explaining what actually happened. There was some scuffle between the two. I won't claim to know exactly how things went down beyond there, because I honestly don't know. At some point it ended up with Tiger pinning Dragon, choking her out. Bunny previously pointed out that if Tiger meant to kill Dragon, she could have crushed her throat at this point. That's absolutely correct. However, that didn't happen. Reason being, at that point Tiger didn't actually want to kill Dragon, just restrain her and maybe put her in her place. So she was strangling Dragon, but not to a lethal extent. Maybe she was trying to explain something to Dragon. However, if Dragon's anything, she's a fighter. She got one over on Tiger and escaped from her grasp. If I had to guess, I'd say Dragon poked Tiger in both her eyes. That's why Tiger was rubbing her eyes when she woke up, even though she reportedly wasn't attacked in the eyes. At this point, despite escaping, Dragon was completely out of energy. She thought Tiger was totally trying to kill her, and at this point she was right. Enraged from the injury, Tiger went reeling backwards until she recovered. When she did, she was furious beyond belief. She grabbed the nearby lamp and came at Dragon. However, Dragon had begun writing a last message in the hopes of warning the rest of us. Even though Dragon was the attacker, whatever transpired in that fight had legitimately scared Dragon. Dragon thought that even though she was the traitor, Tiger might be an even more dangerous force to our group. Or maybe she was just bitter she lost, and tried to make sure Tiger wouldn't get away unscathed. Whatever the reason, she didn't finish writing it before Tiger slammed the lamp through the back of Dragon's skull, killing her nearly instantly. Some blood splashed onto the note in front. But Mouse, doesn't that scenario run into the problem I brought up earlier? Tiger should have noticed what was written on the note and destroyed it. Normally I'd agree with you, however I'd like to test something out right now. I walked over to where the note was written. Using a pen I wrote something on the sheet of paper. If you're really innocent, speak it up now and you'll prove it. After writing it, I showed it to the group. Ox, Snake and Bunny all reacted to the message but didn't speak up. Tiger on the other hand. What? It's the message Dragon wrote, right? I don't know what you're trying to show me with that. It was clearly meant to frame me. I can't believe you'd be so easily fooled, Mouse. I knew it. What? You can't read what's written on this sheet of paper, can you? Earlier, when Ox first showed this to us, you didn't react with surprise, more confusion. You only got angry after Ox explained what it was to us. In fact, this isn't the only example of you not being able to read. Earlier, when talking to Pig, you clearly couldn't read the sign on this office's door. And even before that, when you found the lock to the weapon closet, you didn't realize there was writing on it. Seriously? I didn't actually clock that. It makes sense. She's not blind, is she? She hasn't acted like that at all. Care to explain yourself, Tiger? I hate to expose my weakness in front of everybody, Mouse. Fine, I guess I'll admit it. My vision is damaged. I'm not blind, but... Did any of you hear about the story of Aliyah Abadi? The woman hid the children she had with another man from her husband. Her husband was on an extended vacation before and during the birth. And to keep them secret, she hid the kids in the basement of her house for years. I vaguely remember that. I remember hearing it as an example when I learned about laws surrounding abuse, specifically child abuse. She became infamous after the story broke and was sentenced to prison for years due to neglecting her children to the point where it was deemed malicious. Why do you bring that up? Well, I'm her daughter, Zahara Abadi. Honestly, I've never really cared about that story. I mean, we never remembered anything from that time. We were too young. For all we were concerned, it's the same as if we were adopted at a young age. We? Oh, me and my twin brother. Anyways, while I've pretty much moved on from then, there's actually one thing from that time that stuck with me. The conditions surrounding how I see. The basement we were kept in was usually pitch black. Apparently, if a human's eyes don't take in enough light at a very young age, weird things can happen. Through development, the rods and cones in my retinas weren't properly calibrated to skip a bunch of science talk. The end result is that I distinguish between light and darkness, but I can't see detail. Think of it as an extreme version of colorblindness. I can see the geometry of everything in the world, but it's all pretty much textureless. These results have been seen in mice and cats when they were experimented on, but as far as I know, I'm the only human to ever have this condition. I guess that's the perk of such a weirdly unique upbringing. Calling it a perk of a unique upbringing certainly is a positive spin on the whole affair. That's incredible, Tiger. How have you been using your tablet? Mine's voice operated. Apparently for all his faults, the Jade Emperor is disability friendly. The speakers kicked on. All are treated as equal under the law's watchful eye. God damn it, are you just watching this, you smug asshole? I honestly don't know if that was genuine or sarcastic. Anyways, I don't like talking about it, so thanks for that, Mouse. What does it prove? It doesn't prove anything by itself. However, it explains why you didn't get rid of the note. If you were observant, you might have realized Dragon was writing something down and ripped up the paper on policy, but you were so angry at that point that you didn't even notice. All well and good, Mouse, but we still haven't explained what the deal with the injury to the back of her head was. That still doesn't make any sense. You're right. It doesn't seem like she could get that injury to herself, but she could if she used one simple thing. I'd assume the the recoil of the sniper rifle. She used the sniper rifle to knock herself out. Mouse, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but she was hit with the metal pipe, not the rifle. The pipe was the thing that hit her head, true, but it wasn't the force behind the attack. Explain. After killing Dragon, Tiger began to panic. She had just killed someone. Even though it was partially self-defense, she had no assurance that people would believe her when she said that. Even if they did, it's not as though in truth she was a completely blameless victim. It's clear that towards the end, Dragon had stopped her attacks, and even if it was in a fit of rage, Tiger did strike Dragon down from behind. Ultimately, Tiger decided that she had to hide what happened. But she couldn't leave her post, and people were liable to visit her at any moment. She was right, Ox and I were on our way at this point. So she decided to quickly come up with a story and make it look like she was attacked. I think we've all been underestimating Tiger. On the surface she might not seem the smartest, but she's actually pretty quick on the uptake a lot of the time. And she's really good at physics, which is why her makeshift ruse fooled us all. What ruse? She started by plunging a pen into the table to act as a base. She carefully placed the metal type against that pen. Then she fired 3 shots with a rifle at the wall to cause confusion. After all, if there was only one shot and it hit the pipe, it'd be much easier to figure out what happened. Finally, she sat in the proper place, carefully aimed the rifle and fired it at one end of the pipe. Huh? With the pen directly behind the center of the pipe, the path of least resistance when one end of the pipe is pushed forwards is for the one end to swing outwards. It was that bullet-powered swing that ended up making that nasty to the left side of the back of her head. Such a plan was incredibly risky. It seriously hurt her, but with such momentum it could have done much worse. However, Tiger isn't the type to get scared by something like that. She probably didn't even think about it. She just executed her plan successfully. Afterwards, the pipe rolled to the floor beside her. If anyone who has any experience with physics, well, more so than I, is that something that's possible? That just doesn't sound reasonable. Like, first of all, that the sniper rifle would not shoot through the metal pipe. Second of all, that the force would be so strong that the pipe would actually fly at Tiger with enough force. I could see if she actually shot at exactly the right place. I can't actually get a good grasp on the metal pipe. I don't really know how big it is and how accurate you have to be in hitting it. But yeah, if you do know, or if you have an educated guess at least, tell me if that's something that's likely or not. Lies, all of it. I didn't do anything like that. You can't prove any of it. Tiger, just admit it. Why would I admit something that didn't happen? You've been saying all of this, but you don't have any evidence, do you? Fine, you want me to show you some evidence? Here's something that'll prove that you were never really attacked, and in truth you were the one that killed Dragon. Probably her testimony. I'd assume that's not me knowing things, that's an educated guess. Tiger, you're about to be done in by your own testimony. Huh? You said that you were standing by the counter when in the corner of your eye you saw someone rushing at you from the hallway. You tried to turn towards them, but you were knocked out. Is this correct? Yeah, so what? It doesn't match with your injury. What? You're hit on the left side of the back of your head. However, if you're looking into the nurse's office, then turn to face an attacker coming from the hallway, you'd be turning your head right. It's unclear how fast the attacker got to you. However, if they swung at you, they'd most likely hit the right side of the back of your head. At best, they'd hit the center of the back of your head. But it's inconceivable that from the approach they'd be able to hit the left side of the back of your head. Therefore, either you're completely lying about that happening, or you're leaving the part out where you avoided the attack and began to fight with the assailant Dragon. That's not, you're just... As I expected, it was Tiger's work all along. The more the investigation dragged on, the clearer that became. Huh. I was so sure that Tiger was just being framed. Great cop you are. But with all of that laid out, I've got no choice but to believe that Tiger's guilty. You're all wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. It's her fault she attacked me. She was the one disrupting the order. She needed to die for the team to survive. Tiger, stop looking at me like that. No, we're not forgiving her. Tiger, what the hell was this about? I know Dragon was in the wrong, but that doesn't mean you can just brain them with a lamp. Why not? That's murder. Why'd you hide this from us? If I told anyone, you'd all exclude me when push came to shove. You couldn't trust a murderer and you wouldn't believe that it was self-defense. I'd end up dead. I had to hide it. You certainly had to hide it. But not because of that, is it? What do you mean? Tiger, you're certainly working the sympathy angle to some success right now. But you're not deserving of that, are you? You're nothing but a rage-filled murderer. What are you talking about? You had to hide it because if you didn't, you'd go to jail when we get out. You'll go to jail for a long time. No, I wouldn't. No, I won't. Yes, you will. Had Dragon survived, she surprisingly would have had a stronger case. Courts are very lenient to extenuating circumstances. The plank of Carneades has been the precedent for several rulings which are lenient if you kill someone in order to save yourself. Dragon was a poor victim of an evil death game doing what was needed to survive. You, however, have no such excuse. It was self-defense. Self-defense, you say? That's an awfully difficult thing to prove were it even true. But let's go over the sequence of events, shall we? Dragons blindsided you with an attack using a metal pipe. You easily were able to disarm her and bring her to the ground. It wasn't easy. Fine, you brought her to the ground with difficulty. Either way, at the moment you started to strangle her, you had won the fight. Now, contrary to popular belief, just because someone has attempted to kill you, that does not give you carte blanche to murder them back. Sorry, it's just funny to me in how he phrased it. You need to prove that they present a clear and present danger to the life of you or someone else. That requirement was certainly not met when you began to strangle Dragon to death. I wasn't going to kill her then. Impossible to say. Either way, Dragon narrowly escaped your grasp and began to scribble a desperate note. However, in your rage-fueled state, you didn't stop your assault. You grabbed a nearby weapon and bashed in the back of her skull. She was unarmed, clearly injured and not able to put up a fight. She was scared and her back was turned. And yet, you murdered her. I'm sorry, but the fact that you have a deathly collar around your neck doesn't change the legality of those actions. But she was a traitor. She had the hateful personality. How is that not a clear and present danger? Ah, but you did not know that at the time, did you? Even if you did, that still isn't enough to justify an immediate murder like that. You killed her because you wanted to, not because you had to. Shut up! Snake, stop it. She doesn't know the specifics of self-defense law. She probably thought she was fine. You don't need to assign malicious intent to her covering it up. Oh, but she's plenty knowledgeable of self-defense law, aren't you, Sahara Abadi? Shut up. What are you talking about, Snake? You know, I was in one of the classrooms where there were a number of project boards done by students. However, I didn't recognize one of the boards. Rather, I didn't recognize one of the topics on one of the boards. And after reading it over, I quickly realized that this was a project done by our very own Brian. Brian generously decided to share some research he had done on Sahara, that is, Tiger. You want to know what happened to Sahara's mother? Well, Sahara ended up pushing that mother off the balcony of her 7th-story hotel room in self-defense. Tiger? Oh, by the looks of things, the media painted this as a tragedy for Sahara. Her crazy estranged mother, finally out of jail, tracks down her daughter and somehow blames the child for ruining her life. That mother, Aliyah, barges her way into Sahara's room, argues with her, and pulls a knife on Sahara. Aliyah starts coming at Sahara with the knife. In self-defense, Sahara tries to wrestle with her mother, and in a conflict, Aliyah ends up going over the edge. What a sad, sad story for Sahara. If that's what happened. But given what we've seen, I'm starting to wonder if that was really self-defense. Shut up! Brian certainly thought it wasn't. His project pointed out various pieces of the story that seemed odd. Certainly Aaliyah was far from blameless. She definitely tracked down her estranged daughter with a grudge. But was Olympian Sahara really so intimidated by a frail woman with a knife that she had to kill her own mother? Sahara was an Olympian. She did advertising and she did much, much more. She had many friends in PR who would have an interest in spinning the story favorably for Sahara. People who wouldn't want the public considering if Sahara might have had her own grudge against Aaliyah. If maybe murder wasn't the only option for Sahara, but a choice made. Mouse, we should go. What? Tell me, Sahara, didn't you want to kill your mother? Shut up! You did, didn't you? Why wouldn't you? She was a monster. And there was one strangely unrelated article in the mix. Sahara, whatever happened to your brother? Shut up! Tiger had grabbed the nearby metal type and struck Snake across the head. Mouse, we gotta run, now! Ox grabbed my arm and started running away. Bunny came with me. As I was pulled away, I saw a single-minded Tiger beating a dazed Snake again and again with the pipe. He would almost certainly be dead in a few moments. Ox stopped us in the nearby bathroom. Holy shit, what was that about? I don't know. What was Snake doing, bringing all that shit up to that psycho? It's like he was trying to get Tiger to snap. Was everything he said true? Most likely. It's very well possible that Tiger has killed in the past and we're now simply dealing with an easily angered murderer. What are we going to do now? None of us can take down Tiger. Take down? All the weapons are in the other room, the room she's closest to. The only one who might stand a chance would be Horst, but who knows where he's at now. But we have to do something about her. Something about her? What are you two talking about? We need to come to an understanding. Come to an understanding? She just clobbered the shit out of Snake for basically nothing. She's too dangerous. She can't be normally dealt with. It'd be preferable if we could come to an understanding, but I don't find that too likely an outcome. At this point, I think it's likely she's realized that she's in for a penny, in for a pound. Once she calms down, it's very possible that she'll go into the weapons closet, grab 2 pistols and start killing everyone. If she can do that, it'll be easy to escape the race. And if she's the only survivor, she'll have plenty of time and leeway in spinning a narrative where she's done nothing wrong. But wouldn't it be better if we worked together with her and all survived? You want to work with her? You're right, it'd be better, but it's not likely. Look, I'll go out there. I've got experience as a policeman with talking to people with criminal tendencies in tense situations. I should be able to calm her down. Then I can handle it. No, let me. I've talked with Tiger a lot and I know I can come to an understanding with her. This is probably a mistake, but Mouse, I want you to go instead of Bunny. That is clearly a mistake. What? Look, Mouse has proved herself to be consistently on the ball. I know it's really dangerous, but I trust her. If she says she should be the one to go and talk Tiger down, she should be the one. I don't like that. Well, too bad, that's what I'm saying. You want to waste any further time and argue about it? Just go, Mouse. I won't fail you. You better not. With those encouraging words backing me up, I strided back to the lobby. If I was totally honest with myself, there was a large part of me terrified of Tiger. She was in an absolutely enraged state, and she already proved herself to be willing to kill in fits of anger. But she was the core of our team, always optimistic, always smiling. I couldn't believe that she was an evil person. What the fuck are you on about, Mouse? She's now murdered 3 people in cold blood. Well, technically she's murdered 1 person in cold blood and she's murdered 2 people. Well, in very flimsy self-defense. Not real self-defense. She didn't deserve to die. He wasn't blameless, far from it. But the true villain here was Brian. I couldn't forget that. When I turned the corner, she was just staring at Snake's body, sweating. I averted my eyes from Snake. I didn't need to see too much of that to know there was no saving him. Tiger. Tiger, please calm down. We can talk this out. Talk this out? You think things can go back to normal after this? They have to. I don't want anyone to die. That's nice, but 2 people already have. And guess who's to blame for that? It's you. Sure, but that doesn't mean more people should. I bet if you come peacefully, I can convince the group to forgive you. This can all be like it never even happened. You really want that? Yes. Trust me. No, this isn't right. You wouldn't forgive me this fast. This is some sort of trick, isn't it? Tiger, no, I swear it's not. Tiger started approaching me. You think I'm an idiot? That you can just toy with me? It was at that moment I heard a scuffle from behind me. I turned to see that Bunny had emerged holding out his pistol. Where'd he get a pistol? Before I could say anything, he fired 2 shots at Tiger. They hit her in the shoulder. Unfortunately, it seemed to more enrage Tiger than stop her. She rushed towards like a ball, completely knocking us both over. Before I could stand back up, I saw her standing over. She helped lift me up by grabbing me by my head. That's where my memory stops. Because after that, she began slamming it into the brick wall behind me. 2 impacts, and I was dead. She slammed me against it 5 times. I wish there was a silver lining to end this on, but this just kind of sucks. 4 of diamonds. In this scenario, Tiger is in a highly unstable state. If Mouse has proven herself worthy enough, she can probably convince the others to let her take charge. But if she hasn't won Tiger's trust, the negotiations will definitely go poorly. Poor negotiations will certainly lead to death and likely to Mouse's. Yes, as we saw. Well, that now means we've unlocked 2 endings. Actually, I kind of like this. I kind of want to do more. We'll figure out what we'll do next time. For now, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.